Hello everybody and welcome to round 10 of the 2022 GP4 Offline Championship. We are here at the famous Silverstone circuit in Northamptonshire for the British Grand Prix, and hopefully this time Virgin Media decides to not go on strike on me like it did yesterday. But either way, I am JW97 and I'm joined today by Formula 2 commentator Rob.
Hello, good to see you, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be at this historic racetrack, and I can't wait to see the race. It's one of the best tracks on the calendar.
Indeed, and if qualifying is anything to go by, we should be in for a very exciting race. I'm just a little bit gutted that my Virgin Media decided to have a complete blackout during what was undoubtedly one of the best qualifying sessions we've seen in a very long time. And, well, for those of you who missed it, of course, we're going to go through the grid then as we get set for 52 laps of action here at Silverstone. So 4x4 as per usual. So, on pole position, it is the championship leader of Franco Lopez in the Mercedes, followed by Jesus Perinen, who starts on the front row for Renault. Armand Carr starts in third, with George Roque in fourth position, both of them looking to still get their first victory of the season.
Rahul Patel, with his best qualifying since Germany, is in P5 with Bartosz Kloss in 7th. Next is David Kiupok with another top 10 qualifying in P7, and Jontas Martins on a career best P8.
Jamie Griffiths starts in 9th, a good qualifying for him, taking advantage of the mixed conditions, with Chris Chatfield starting in 10th after he crashed out in Q2. Jake Galloway, his teammate, starts in 11th, with Kirishima De Rosa in 12th for McLaren.
Evan Byrne in an unlucky P13. He'll be hoping to make his way up through the field, and Emilio Wilson is in 14th. Miklos Gal is in 15th, and Andrea Federi, who had a spin in Q2, is 16th.
Roman Quagg is 17th after getting caught out in the mixed conditions, followed by Laura Chung, another driver getting caught out in the wet conditions in 18th. Also getting caught out, Michael Mocho, he starts down in 19th, with Felix Sontag in 20th for Williams, and on the back row of the grid, Rob?
It's Joseph Willows in 21st and Mans Wallinger in 22nd and last. And now what is the weather like? It's going to be bone dry.
No rain expected, so it will be interesting to see which strategy is correct, given that we have got medium tyres. So we're getting set for the race, as I'll now hand over to Rob, who will obviously take us through the start of the Grand Prix here at Silverstone.
Sure. One thing to remember about Silverstone is that it's one of the slowest pit lanes, so maybe a strategy with less stops will be beneficial, but we'll see what happens. The pit lane is pretty slow, so we'll see what happens here. But without further ado, let's get going. 52 laps of action, my favorite number. And who's going to win it? Here we go then. It's a short round down towards Abbey. And who's going to take the lead? Will Lopez hold on? Will Perrin pass him? Can Kage himself into the mix? So many questions, and we're going to get our answers very, very soon. We're waiting for the 5 red lights. Here we go. 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And the British Grand Prix is go. Good start for Jesus Perrin. He seems like he's already taken the lead from Franco Lopez. But Lopez should rebound on the outside. He's got the racing line here into turn 1. Yes, Lopez holds on to the lead. Kyle is trying to make his way up into 2nd. Patel, great start for him. He's gone up into 4th place. As Chung has dropped a few places at the back. But it is Franco Lopez who leads, with Jesus Perrin in 2nd. There's been some damage for De Rosa, it looks like. He has collided with somebody. With who that is, I think it might be Evan Byrne.
It's Evan Byrne, the championship, the former championship leader, I should say, has got damage, and it was him who hit the back of Kirishima De Rosa. I did notice there was smoke approaching turn 3 there, and it was obviously caused by those two making contact.
Yeah, Byrne ran to the back of De Rosa. Pretty standard lap 1 incident there, but that will be bad news for the Red Bull.
Indeed so, as we now look at Franco Lopez, who's still leading the way from Perrin, who's still trying to fend off from Armand Carr, who still can't get the place off him. But amazing start, as you mentioned, by Rahul Patel to get up to 4th, getting the jump there on George Roque. It's a great start for Johannes Martins, meanwhile, in the Aston Martin. He's up into 6th place from the start. A great start for him.
That's amazing.
On 8th on the grid, he's got the jump on Bartosz Kloss. A good start for Chatfield. He's gone up into 8th as well, as Quagg's up to 10th. From 17th on the grid, Quagg up to 10th.
How's he done that?
What a start from the Frenchman. He's gained 7 places from the start.
Right, let's see how he did it. So he got good traction off the line. I assume he got past Federi first. Yeah, that was pretty easy. Though he had to squeeze in between him and the AlphaTauri of Gal. He just followed Gal into turn 1. And then spotted an opportunity on the inside. Got past him. And then watched as Byrne got damage from his own incident. Gal actually got back in front of Quagg. But Quagg had the inside for Village. I imagine he went for a dive bomb into Village. Yes, he did. He went past one of them, past the Ferrari as well, and then slotted in behind the Alfa Romeo as he overtook the Williams. And then through the loop, I imagine he overtook Wilson as well, because that's how Roman Quagg made his way up into 10th place. Yeah, he got past Wilson heading in towards Brooklands.
A great start there for Roman Quaggan, already into the points after a disappointing qualifying, and he's not wasting any time whatsoever. 15.6 laps of fuel, so it'll be interesting to see whether that's a 2-stop or 3 stops there. I think it might be leaning towards a 2-stop given the amount of laps we've got today, but we shall see. But meanwhile, everybody's still stuck behind Perinen, including Carr, Patel and Roke. It seems that Perinen's holding up a bit of a train here. I wonder what fuel he's currently holding. 17.3 for Carr. Wonder what Perinen is holding as Carr trying
I
to
think
go
he's
all
got
the
a
way
lot more. Yes, he has.
27.2, that's clearly a 1-stop, I think, because that's pretty much halfway into the race as Carr still stuck behind Perrin, and Patel looking for any opportunity to pounce as well, but can't get it done as they make their way through into Vale for the first time today. Can everybody keep it clean through into this part of the track? It looks like it will. Griffiths has dropped down to 13th, so sadly for him, reality's starting to hit back, I'm afraid, given the car is in as Byrne and DeRosa make their way back to the pits. This is a disaster for Byrne, given that he came into this race 4 points, or 3 points, I think, behind Franco Lopez, and given Lopez is leading the race, that could mean that Lopez could have a huge advantage come the end of the race.
Yeah, but don't underestimate Byrne. He is a quick driver, and he's got arguably the quickest car. Sorry, I was twisting my tongue in there. But yeah, Byrne should be able to still score some points with a decent comeback. But here comes Armarca attacking Perrin, and he doesn't want to waste time. He wants to make his strategy work, and he can't afford to be stuck behind the Spaniard. He wants to win.
Once again, Perrin doing a good job keeping him back for the time being. Speaking of Renault's, Quark has got up into 9th place. Meanwhile, he's passed David Kupok, I think it was, so he's moving up the field quite well. Carr now on the inside into Cop's corner. Can he get the move done? He's trying to get the move done, but can Perrin try and hang it back around the outsides? They're going to Maggots and Beckers. They're still side by side, but can Patel take full advantage? No, he can't. Perrin holds on, but Carr has lost all the momentum, and now he's got Patel and Rope breathing down his neck.
Quag has overtaken Klaus. He's up in 8th place. He overtook Kupok as well, unseen by the cameras.
Indeed, but Patel's got a run here on Omar Carr. Can he get onto the podium places? Can the Lamborghini driver? He's trying to look to the inside, but doesn't quite have enough momentum to get alongside. Look like the Mercedes just had enough grunt on the straight to stay in front. Is now heading into Vale for the second time. Perrin still holding up a train of cars at this point in time. Martin's doing a good job holding up to 6th place at the moment. It seems that Chatfield struggling to get by. There's a whole host of cars there as Frederi's only just got by on Griffiths. Galloway struggling to make his way up through the field as Willow's also trying to make his way up through the field after qualifying down at the back of the grid. He's already up into 17th place and in that train of cars, but Carr has got back up now to Hayes' Perrin here.
Yes, that's right. Rock has 27 laps of fuel, I think, so Rock should be on the 1-stop. We'll have to look at his pace, but Perrin is under heavy pressure from Carr behind. Carr's surely gonna go for it. I don't think he's close enough here.
I was just going to bring that up. He looks a little bit too far back, even with Perrin and going a little bit defensive. And same with Patel and Roke there. So Roke's still struggling to find a way through on the Lamborghini driver as Carr doing all he can to put Perrin under so much pressure. Perrin tries to make his fuel strategy work out to perfection because it's very clear to me that he's currently looking like he's going to be on a 1-stop today. As now Carr now on the inside. On Perrin, surely he's got the momentum this time. No, he's not. Perrin just able to hang it around the outside and hold on a second. I thought with the momentum he had, he would have been able to
up to 6, sorry.
Up into 6th place as Martins has now lost a place from the start as Carr is still stuck behind Perrin, but can he get him this time down on the hanger straight? We shall see.
Only if he goes for the inside and towards Stowe, and he's not. He's going for the outside. That may work in the wet, but in the dry, it's pretty much a failure of an overtake.
It could work if you're on fresher tyres, but obviously everybody's on the same sort of tyre tread at the moment, as it said, as in terms of degradation, I should say, and Carr not able to get the move done, and Patel and Roke still watching on in that battle that's going on. Meanwhile, Wilson trying to fend off from Miklos Gau, who's trying to make
an AlphaTauri sandwich.
She is indeed, as Gao trying to make amends after only qualifying 15th yesterday, as Quag and Kloss are swapping places, as Quag gets back up into 8th place as he tries to chase down Johannes Martins, who's still sticking with Chris Chatfield looking at the timing screen at the bottom. But back to this battle for 2nd place. Can Carr get the move done on Jesus Perrin now to make the way down towards the Wellington straight now? Then has Carr got the run on Perrin this time by? He is in the sector. He's going to look to the inside, but is it enough for him to get the move done? And once again, Perrin doing a good job placing his car perfectly and keeping the Mercedes back. He's definitely not letting Carr go that easily, and all of this is allowing Lopez to pull a 5.3 second lead out in front.
Yeah, Kai's having a bad stint because he's being held up. We don't know what the real pace of the Mercedes is like, but he's going to go for it now into Cops, and can get him this time once again has to slot behind.
It's definitely clear, impatience is creeping in there as Carr's just looking everywhere to try and find a way past on the Renault there, but he just can't seem to find a way through, and Patel is just being dragged into this fight because of their fighting at the moment. Patel, though, desperate to get a good race after what has been so far a very, very disappointing season for the Lamborghini driver.
He's going for the outside again.
He's going to try and hang around the outside. He might have some momentum, you know. He's got enough momentum to go around the outside, and would you look at that? Carr tried to pull that off on the previous previous lap, and he's got it done this time. As Car moves
Brilliant
up,
overtake.
Brilliant move from the Mercedes, and it is now a Mercedes 1-2 here at Silverstone.
He was using the superior downforce of the Merc to go all the way around the outside, kept his foot planted to the floor, and made a brilliant overtake.
Yes, indeed, and now it is a Mercedes 1-2 here at Silverstone. Can Car now try and catch up to Lopez? He's got 5.3 seconds in which to catch up, as Patel nearly made contact with Perrin going into Vale, but thankfully they just about avoided each other there. Of course, these two have a lot of respect for each other, given they were teammates in GP2 back in the 2020 season, as I had to figure the year there for a minute, but it looks like Patel's lost all the momentum, and now he's under pressure from George Rote once again, as meanwhile Chris Chatfield, who's now free for Juventus Martins, is actually starting to close up onto this group.
Yes, that's right, and it'll be interesting to see what strategy Chatfield is on. Roke is obviously on the one-stop, so he'll be going a little bit longer in this race, though with the slower pit lane, the one-stop could be advantageous. Emphasis on could, not saying it will.
Roke hasn't got quite enough momentum to get a hold of Patel down the Wellington straight, and once again keeping the gap calm. 6.6 seconds as a gap. I wonder if Lopez is actually lapping quicker than Car, regardless.
Here goes Gal.
This is his best chance to get Wilson here. He's on the inside. He's been stuck behind her for a while, and he finally gets the move done and Gal up into 11th place. His next target is teammate David Kupok, as meanwhile Quag is stuck behind Joantas Martins, who's been holding up cars for quite a while in these first few laps of the race. And now Quag with the momentum. Can he get him into Copse Corner? Look at the speed that the Renault has got into Copse Corner very easily done, and Quag up to 7th.
340 kilometers an hour in towards Copse. That is absolutely insane. But a good overtake nevertheless. Meanwhile, this car gaining on to Lopez. 5.6. I think Lopez is pulling away.
6.5, but I think he gained a 10th there. Oh, Gal has done all that hard work and he's gone for a spin. So after he just overtook Wilson there, he's clearly carried a bit too much speed and it's spun back down to 14th.
Pretty much a carbon copy of the Carlos Sainz mistake, except Sainz didn't spin the car around.
Indeed, and he clipped onto the bump there whilst trying to rejoin, and it's obviously rotated the car around, and as a result, he's lost a couple of places as a result, clearly pushing a bit too hard, and that will not do his tyres any good whatsoever.
Is there a pit call for someone?
Yeah, puncher for someone, and that's Galloway. Galloway's slowing. He's clearly the puncher has done something wrong to his car, and Jake Galloway is the first retirement of the race.
Yeah, what a shame.
Galloway, of course, obviously, let's not forget, last time out, got a podium at the Austrian Grand Prix, and unfortunately for him, after what was a pretty tricky qualifying for him, getting caught out in the conditions, he is going to be out of his home race here at Silverstone, and, well, the first retirement of the day goes to the Ferrari of Jake Galloway.
Yellow flags have been enforced for Stoke Corner, so careful there for the drivers. Anyone who makes an overtake will receive a penalty, as in the meantime, Kyle is pulling away from Perrin and doing exactly what he needs to do. Meanwhile, it looks like Chatfield, the only Ferrari left in this race, is gaining onto this train, and so is Quag.
Yeah, indeed, and it did say 6.4 the gap between the two Mercedes, so Car's only really gaining a 10th on his own teammate. He's not really gaining much, but yeah, clearly...
Here goes Sontag, he's caught up to Griffiths, and he's going to attack him, but Griffiths covers the move off and remains in front. Mocho also trying to make up places behind the two Williams.
And obviously, reality now starting to sink in for Jamie Griffiths. Of course, started up in 9th position, and he's now already down into 17th in the clutches of his own teammate Felix Sontag, who might try and get a run of him into Copse Corner. Let's see. Sontag now on the inside of Griffiths, and he gets the move done. I wonder if Griffiths is carrying a heavy fuel load, and he is. He's on a similar strategy to what Jesus Perrin is. So is Michael Mocho, who's still down in 19th at the moment.
Mocho's fueled actually significantly heavier. He's got 31 laps of fuel left.
Yeah, so that might explain why he's not progressed, because of course he also got caught out in the mixed conditions, ended up qualifying down in 19th position, but now he's going to try and attack Jamie Griffiths around the outside into Stoke Corner, but he just hasn't got enough momentum, and he's going to have to hang back as a result there, and tries to see if he can drive around the outside, but it's not going to work out. 6.1 now, the gap between the two Mercedes.
He's got great traction here, though. He could have a little look around the outside of Vale, but that was too dangerous. He didn't risk it.
Indeed, Roke clearly struggling to get by on Patel at the moment. Patel doing a very good job keeping him back at the moment. I don't know if Roke is currently struggling on this stint.
Yeah, but Perrin has pulled away from Patel. That's quite interesting.
Yeah, indeed. It seems 3rd, 4th and 5th are just slowly increasing the gap, it seems. But yeah, for some reason, Roke just struggling to get by onto these two for some reason. Is he carrying a heavy fuel load or what? I'm not sure. But anyway,
Roke is on the one stop, but here comes Quag.
I might explain it, but now Quag on the inside of Chatfield. Can he get the move done into Copse Corner? He's going to go side by side with a Ferrari, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Looks like Chatfield is going to hold on for the time being, as Quag will look to try again and see if he can get him down the hanger straight.
Yeah, that's right. He's got a lot of pace in the Renault, and he's fueled rather light. Could be a 2 or even a 3-stop strategy. But let's see if he's got a good enough run. He's gonna go to the inside of of Chris Chatfield, not Jay Galloway, and he's got the inside 350 kilometers an hour into Stoke corner. He's got him.
He's up into P6 and definitely making this strategy work. Next target for him is George Roke in the Red Bull, who's clearly on a very heavy fuel. Lock up for Chris Chatfield there, just behind, and clearly still having to correct the car. But yeah, that would explain then why Roke is not getting onto Patel, but he's still keeping up with him. Maybe he could make that strategy work a little bit later on in the race. Who knows, really? Because it's still a little bit of an unknown what strategy seems to be the better with these medium tyres, whether it's the 2-stop or maybe even the 1-stop today.
As we're looking at Laura Chung trying to overtake Ben Swaldinger in towards Vale, but she had to back out of it. She's got good traction here onto the Hamilton straight in towards Abbey, but it's quite difficult to pass here in the dry. We've seen it happen in the wet in the F2 race yesterday, but in the dry...
Oh, Chung definitely ignores all that, and she gets up into 15th place. A good move there from the Lamborghini driver, and she's also on a 1-stop from the looks of it, so maybe trying something different to try and see if she can keep a hold of her point streak, as so far, the first 9 races, she's scored points in every race, but so far, it looks like it might come to an end today unless she can make that 1-stop strategy work.
That was a creative move for her, not gonna lie. As here goes Kloss, he's caught up to Martins, he's alongside Martins, and now he's still behind Martins.
Martin's doing a good job at the moment keeping these guys back. Obviously, we know he's in a slower car compared to the Haas. A little bit odd saying that, given what we saw from Haas in previous seasons. You wouldn't have said that at all last season, but there we are. As now Kloss has got a run here on Martin. Can he potentially try and get him down the hanger straight now? Then as he's in the slipstream of the Aston Martin, he's going to go to the inside. So surely this should have been the move done for the Polish driver. He's on the inside.
It's not.
No, he just didn't have. He clearly didn't have enough confidence.
Well, he's at the place.
Quag has passed Roke, he's passed him. Did he pass him at Vale there? Or was it, in fact, it looks like he's got him right the outside there. So, seems that the 1-stop starting to weigh down Roke, it seems, and Quag has gained another place.
Quag is fueled 13 laps lighter than Roke. He was able to brake later and carry more speed through the corner thanks to a lower weight. And that was a very beautiful overtake.
Indeed, he's up into 5th place. Next target for him is Rahul Patel in the Lamborghini, and it'll be very interesting to see how quickly he can get onto him. And then his teammate, Jesus Perinen, as meanwhile the Mercedes still up front, pulling away at this stage of the moment, and could really help them in their championship, that is for sure. Especially Carr, who wants to, well, I would say that, but then I realise that Lopez...
Here goes Wilson, she's attacking Kupak in towards turn 1. Can she get him, just like Chung did? Tell you what, she does.
Indeed, so the females showing how it's done into the first corner as Wilson now up into P10 and into a points-paying position. And, well, very good going for the Alfa Romeo driver. Of course, started in 14th position on the grid, but definitely making progress. Meanwhile, Kloss is still stopped behind the Aston Martin and Jurantas Martin. Martin's doing a very good job. He definitely wants some points today, does the popular Brazilian.
Yeah, absolutely right, but he's going to have a difficult task in front of him. He knows he doesn't have the car, but he's got the determination. Can he make it work until lap 52? I'm not sure, but we'll see.
5.5 seconds, meanwhile, is the gap between the two Mercedes drivers. The car is
gaining.
He is gaining, but not by a lot, it seems. It seems that Lopez has just got enough to have a big enough gap maybe before the pit stops, as Kloss is still stuck behind Martin at this point. Martin's doing a good job keeping the Haas driver back at this stage, and you will have to think if Kloss is probably starting to get a little bit frustrated being stuck behind the Aston Martin here.
Kloss has 16 laps of fuel left in his wagon. What about Martin's?
As now we look at Kloss trying to go around the outside if he can on the Aston Martin, but it's not going to work out. He doesn't have the momentum like Carr did on Perinen a little bit earlier on, or even what Quag did on Roke just a few laps ago. As contact there! As, luckily, it didn't end in disaster there, but yeah, clearly a little bit of impatience there for Kloss, but thankfully it didn't end in disaster for the pair of them.
A little bit of argy-bargy down at Vale.
Now Kloss looks to the inside into Abbey. He can't get it done like what we saw with Wilson and Chung a little bit earlier on. As now we see the gap, 5.2 seconds now, the gap between the two Mercedes. So pretty much what we were referring to a little bit earlier. He's gaining, but not by a lot. Meanwhile, Quag on the back of Patel here. Has he got P4 from the Lamborghini into Brooklyn's corner? Danny inside, and he's got the move done. Quag up into 4th. Next target for him is his teammate, Jesus Perinen.
The Instant team are on fire today as Byrne is overtaken Modron, seen by the cameras.
Does indeed. Burn up into 19th place. He tries to make amends after he got damage on the first lap of the race, so he's trying to pick his way through the field. But Quag on a charge right now, trying to make his strategy work. It's a similar strategy to what Armar Carr is on, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. But as he now tries to catch up onto his own teammate Hazen Perrin, who of course is on a 1-stop. So it seems that Renault are splitting their strategy with their two drivers today.
Interesting fact, Joe, as we got a pit call for the McLaren, but it looks like Kai's fueled about 3 laps heavier than Lopez. De Rosa's going around the outside here. Byrne is trying to fight as well. This is an entertaining fight. I had to interrupt myself, but I will carry on with my thought once we see the conclusion to this. Byrne has to go quite wide in left field and lose a lot of time. We got a 4-car battle here.
That was a very impressive move of De Rosa. It seems that unseen by the cameras, Mocho actually re-overtook Byrne somewhere, and De Rosa just went, thank you very much, I'm going to take advantage of that. So Byrne getting caught up in the traffic here today.
Yeah, and Joseph Willows is coming into the pits this lap, but De Rosa is going to watch as Mocho is going for the move on the Williams. Has he got him? No, not quite. Almost went 3 wide into Cobbs. That could have ended in disaster, but Byrne is going to try to take advantage here.
Indeed so, as now through into Maggots and then into Beckett's we will go, as Byrne really stuck behind this. He does not need this, given that he had to do an impromptu stop earlier on in the race, and it looks like he's going to be going to around about, I want to say, lap 23 in the race before he makes another pit stop, as meanwhile De Rosa tries to attack Willows. Speaking of McLaren's, is now into the pits. I wonder if that's going to be a free stop for the 2-time world champion. We'll have to wait and see. He obviously started on the back row of the grid after getting caught out in mixed conditions, like with Bence Valdinga as well, as Byrne still stuck behind. This is not ideal for the Irishman, given that his rival Franco Lopez is currently up front leading the race.
No, definitely not. And as I was saying about the two Mercedes, Kai's fueled heavier than Lopez by about 3 laps as De Rosa fails to make the move. But even though he's fueled heavier, he's faster than him, so keep an eye on this for the remainder of the race. Ka might be the favorite to win it.
And if you want to add insult to injury with Byrne there, we just saw Joseph Willows coming to the pits. He's just rejoined right in front of that train. So, again, it just shows how much Byrne's been held up, given that somebody who's just pitted has still come out in front of Byrne at this point.
Yeah, that's right.
As now we look back at that was AlphaTauri there. That was a Gal there attacking. That would be Videri, because Martins is still up in 8th place at the moment. As we now look at this train of cars that he's forming once again. He's being held up by Jamie Griffiths, who's clearly on a heavy fuel load.
Gal's overtaken Videri meanwhile.
He's finally got the move done, and it seems that Griffiths is trying his best to hold these guys up, given the strategy that he's on today. As meanwhile, De Rosa tries to attack Mocho into to Magnus and Beckers. Can't make it work out, so he has to hang back behind him for the moment. 4.6 seconds now, the gap between the two Mercedes drivers, as now through into Beckett's and then through into Chapel we go. Is Byrne going to try and have a go, as everybody will be basically slipstreaming each other down his hanger straight, as De Rosa now looks to the inside of Mocho. Byrne looks to see if he could try and take advantage. De Rosa on the inside of Mocho, and he's got the move done. So De Rosa is up into what is 18th place. Can Byrne take full advantage? Goes around the outside of Mocho. He's trying to hang it around the outside.
He's done it, you know.
And that is a brilliant move there for Evan Byrne. He's finally got by on Mocho, but can he this time keep him back after Mocho, unseen by the cameras, re-overtook him and they were caught up to the back of Jamie Griffiths there. But again, not really ideal for the Irishman. De Rosa on the inside of Griffiths now then into Abbey. Can't make it work, so he has to hang back, and now Byrne has caught up to him as a direct result of that as they go into turn 3 now then on the racetrack.
Looks like the two Renaults are going to be into combat. Here goes Quag. He's going for the podium place here. Can he get past his teammate in towards Stoke Corner? Has he got him? Not quite.
Clearly, no team orders at the Enstone-based team, as Quag is still stuck behind Prinin, who, obviously, let's not forget, Carr had difficulty trying to pass him in. Meanwhile, that is Chatfield going into the pits. I thought that was going to end a disaster there with George Roper.
Lopez has a pit call.
He's coming at the end of this lap, as Chris Chatfield has mentioned, has just come into the pits this lap. As meanwhile, the two Renaults are still scrapping it out for 3rd position now then, as Quag does all he can to get by on his own teammate. He looks like he might try and get a run on him onto the Wellington straight like he did on Rahul Patel a little bit earlier on. Yeah,
let's see if he can get him. He's got good traction here, but Perrin's traction was even better, so I don't think he's going to make it here. He's going to have to wait a little longer.
And the Wellington straight we go. It looks like he's just a little bit too far back to challenge his own teammate at that point. Looks like Chatfield is going to emerge in around about 13th position. As meanwhile, Byrne now on the back of Griffiths, who now, unseen by the cameras, has now been overtaken by Kirishima De Rosa. Byrne now on the inside of Griffiths into Stoke Corner. He gets the move on. He's up into 19th place. Now he can get after Kirishima De Rosa in the McLaren and leave Mocho and Griffiths to battle.
Yep, indeed. As now Quag once again has the look on his teammate in towards Cops, unable to overtake, and he's going to have to start in behind.
Indeed, through into Maggots we go, and then into Beckett's. Looks like he'll maybe have to wait until the hanger straight to try and get a hold of his teammate then, as he now come out of there. Through into Chapel now then, has Quag got a run on his teammate, this time by into Stoke Corner. He's actually going to opt to go for the outside like he did with George Roker a little bit earlier on, but has he got enough to get it done? No, not this time. Perrin holds on to the places. Lopez is now into the pits for his first pit stop of the day as we continue to look at the battle between the two Renault drivers. But again, Quark can't find a way through on putting that type by. But as mentioned, Franco Lopez is into the pits for Mercedes.
Yep, the race leader is in. This promotes Scott to the lead temporarily.
Yeah, indeed, as Quark is just a little bit too far back to challenge at that point. In fact, Quark's coming into the pits at the end of this lap now then, as Carr is in the lead temporarily. Not sure why we're not looking at Lopez for some reason, because he's currently in the pits. But anyways, Lopez rejoins in 6th place behind George Rowe. That could be very, very interesting right there, as he's in sync with Lopez's strategy.
Yeah, but Lopez has much fresher tires. He should be able to pass the Red Bull no problem.
Indeed so. Miklos Galley to the pits for AlphaTauri. Looks like Lopez is going to get already a run on Roke down the Wellington straight. And he's going to go to the inside. Looks like Roke doesn't put up too much of a defence as we now go into Brooklands now then. And that's an easy for Lopez. He goes up into 5th place as his next target will be Rahul Patel in the Lamborghini. As mentioned, of course, Roman Quad coming in. He's still stuck behind Jesus Perinen.
Not for long though. He's going for the move into Cops. He's got so much more speed. And Perinen doesn't find him too hard.
Gets through on the lap that he comes into the pit, so I wonder how much that's going to cost him as a result. Kloss, meanwhile, is still stuck behind Johannes Martin's Aston Martin at the moment, as now in towards Copse Corner we go.
Looks like Wilson has overtaken Q-Puck meanwhile.
So she's once again having a good race as now we make our way down the hangar straight now then. But as mentioned, Quag is coming into the pits at the end of this lap. Carr is going to continue to lead the way at the moment. But the Frenchman now into the pits as he looks to try and make this strategy work today. Meanwhile, Lopez with some good momentum on Patel, but can't find a way through on the Lamborghini driver at this stage as they now come around the double right-hander on the racetrack. Quag into the pits as now the Argentine tries his best to get a hold of him as we now look at Roman Quark in the Renault box. How quick is this stop going to be then for
16 laps of fuel.
Oh, that confirms to me that could be a 3 stop or maybe even a 2 stop. We'll have to wait and see. That will take him to roughly around about lap 30 in fact. So we'll have to wait and see how much fuel he puts in when he makes his second stop. A little bit hard to tell.
I'm thinking it's a 3 honestly. Meanwhile, Lopez is being held up by Patel, but he's going to try to overtake him in towards entry. No way. He's lost a lot of time in the process.
Yep, and in fact, Patel is coming into the pits at the end of this lap, so he should have really just waited until the Wellington straight, really. As Quark rejoins in 9th, just in front of the AlphaTauri David Q-Puck there, as meanwhile Lopez still stuck behind Rahul Patel's Lamborghini. Of course, as mentioned, Patel is coming into the pits at the end of this lap, but can Lopez get by him before he makes his pit stop now then, as we go through Woodcote now then, and now heading into Copse Corner for the 15th time today, and Lopez too far back to get him that time by.
Nope, not close enough, and he's going to try around the outside of Maggots. That was never going to work.
Indeed so, and again, losing all the momentum in the world to get a hold of Patel that time by, but it looks like he's going to get it all back through into Beckett's now then, as he will look to try and get him down the hangar straight now then. He's going to look to the outside now then of the racetrack. Has he got enough momentum to get a hold of the Lamborghini driver? I don't think he is, but luckily for him, Patel is coming into the pits at the end of this lap, so he shouldn't have to worry about him for too much longer, and through goes Patel into the pits, as Quag, unseen by the cameras, has just overtaken Wilson on track.
Yeah, Wilson is going to try to come back though, as Quag is attacking Bartosz Kloss here. He's going for the outside, his favorite move so far today, but he has to stay behind. Or does he? Because he's got great traction. Brilliant.
Yep, he clearly didn't expect that one as Quag goes through into what is 7th place. Another great move there for the Frenchman. He actually got Wilson down at Copse Corner and noticed that underneath. And in fact, he came from a little bit far back there. So Quag clearly using the fresher tyres to his advantage here.
That was absolutely brilliant.
Indeed so, Quag having a very good race so far here at Silverstone. As mentioned, Patel is into the pits for Lamborghini. As be interested to see where he emerges in this race, because so far Patel's having a pretty good race here at Silverstone. There's now Patel is onto the back of Johannes Martin's Aston Martin here, as now out of the final turn we go, as it looks like Quag just doesn't have enough momentum to get into turn 1, but he possibly might wait until the Wellington straight to get that one done.
Yeah, it could be.
We go through into the first couple of corners now then, as Quag puts on the tries to put some pressure on the Aston Martin here. Patel, where's he going to emerge? Because it looks like Chatfield man have actually got ahead of him in the pits, so that could be interesting. As Martin takes a bit of a wider line, Quag tries to take full advantage, doesn't work out.
Lopez.
Yeah, he's clearly got a bit impatient, and now Kloss is going to try and punish him for that. As a result, as Kloss now goes to the inside of Roman Quag, has he got the move done into Brooklands? The answer to that is no. Quag holds on thanks to the fresher grip, but yeah, like with Lopez, maybe a bit of impatience going on with Quag.
Yeah, totally, as Kai is coming into the pits now.
Yeah, Armar Carr in the Mercedes is pitting at the end of this lap. He's just coming around Stoke Corner, in fact, so he should be heading his way into pits right now, as Quag is still stuck behind Martins at this point in time. As now, Quag
Wilson has overtaken Klaus, hasn't she?
Yes, she has. She's up into 7th place somewhere. But as mentioned, car in the pits and 31 laps of fuel. So that confirms to me that is a
two-stop.
That is a two-stop, and it looks like he's going quite late on this stint.
This is very aggressive. He's going to try to get Lopez later on in the race.
Indeed, so Perinen will take the lead temporarily, and it'll be interesting to see what sort of involvement Perinen has in this race, given the strategy he's on, of course, as Lopez goes through, he's up into second, but of course, Lopez is now starting to get onto the back of Perinen, as Roke, meanwhile, is car still going to emerge in front of Roke, let's see, and the answer to that is no, Roke is ahead of Armar Carr, so Carr looks like he's going to have to overtake Roke on track, which, given what we saw with Lopez, might be a little bit easier for Carr.
Had he mirrored Lopez's strategy, Carr would be the favorite for the race win, but now I'm not so sure. I think Lopez will have the advantage.
It depends really on how quickly he can try and catch up, because Carr has obviously got fresher tyres compared to Lopez, so that might work to his benefit there. But meanwhile, Lopez essentially just pushing Perinin through Lovefield there. Is he going to try and get a run into Copse Corner? Let's see, as they now head their way down the support pit straight now then. It looks like he's not close enough on that occasion, so he's going to hang back for now, but he might get a run down onto the hanger straight, as Carr looks like he's going to maybe do the same onto Roke when we get there, as Lopez again not able to find a way from Perinin, loses a bit of momentum, but he should be able to gain that back when we go into Beckett, and I think the same is going to be in order here for Armar Carr, and yes it is, so he's going to have to hang back as well, as meanwhile now Lopez opting to go for the outside. He's got much fresher tyres, so it's not impossible for him to pull off the move around the outside. Let's see if he can pull it off, as he's going to try and hang it around the outside. He thought about it but can't get it done, so once again Perinin pretty much being a headache like he was for Carr a little bit earlier on, and holding back Lopez. He wants to make his strategy work today, as same thing.
Guys tried the same.
I tried to do the same on Roke, but it didn't work out. Again, Roke holding him back for the time being, as we look back to this semi-battle for the lead, I guess you could say.
Temporary battle for the lead, because of course Lopez is the rightful leader, but he's being held up by a car who hasn't stopped yet.
Yeah, and the same goes for Carr as well, as Roke is
Chatfield and Patel are battling in the meantime.
Indeed, as we now look at Lopez, who again tried to maybe have a look into Aintree, but he's lost all the momentum in the world, and once again, maybe impatience is starting to creep in on the two-time champion there, as Carr also trying to have a go at Roke through into Aintree there, but it doesn't work out, and so far the one-stoppers holding their own at this point.
What was he cooking?
I wonder, but anyway, as now making their way through into Woodcote now then, as Lopez looks like he's not that close enough to get the move on Perinin once again, so he's going to have to hang behind the Spaniard at this point in time as they go through into Copse Corner now then, as now Lopez looks to the outside of Perinin now then, but he can't get the move done once again, and has lost all the momentum in the world, as we now look back at Carr and Roke once again going into Magnus and Beckett, but once again can't get the move done, and once again, as mentioned, the one-stoppers on their own, or will it this time? Is Lopez going to try and hang it around the outside, this time by on the Spaniard? He's trying to have a go, tries to hang it around the outside, but once again, Perinin holding his own and holding on to the lead of the race. He wants to make that one-stop strategy work here, Rob.
Yes, absolutely, and he doesn't care if he's fighting the Mercedes. He's going to give it his best shot, as Kai is trying something into Vale around the outside. That was never going to work.
Oh, and I thought for a minute there those two were going to end in contact, as Lopez looks to the inside into Abbey, but can't get it done, and once again loses momentum to the Renault in front. Carr not close enough to do the same thing. It's a bit of crash. It's Martins, no, and Wilson. Both of them were having a good race.
Oh my God.
Wilson was pitting at the end of this lap, I think, anyway. But, well, that's a race over for those two. And, well, it looks like a similar sort of Stowe accident like we've seen over the years.
What's happened here, look?
Let's have a look. So Wilson got in the slipstream of Martins here, and she saw a gap on the inside, which she was entitled to go for. And, well, it was always going to end in disaster, really.
Yeah, I'm afraid.
That's both of them out of the race. I don't think it's going to count because, of course, Stowe has been, unless Yuri does give a penalty to someone, I'm not sure. But I don't think you can blame either one of them for that. I think it is just purely racing on that occasion. But either way, both of them are out. And it's such a shame for Martins because he was doing a good job in that Aston Martin.
Yeah, both of them were looking at scoring very good points. But unfortunately, they're going to walk home with nothing.
Yeah, indeed, as now we've got Lopez who's all over the back now of Jesus Perinin as they now make their way into Brooklands. Can he get the move done? Down the inside, and he just had enough, and finally, Lopez passes Perinin into Brooklands there. Good move from the Argentine.
Yeah, brilliant stuff, as now Kai is still stuck behind Roke. He's lost a little bit of ground.
Yeah, indeed, and because Lopez has got behind Perin, it's going to allow the Argentine, where you would imagine, to pull away as a result compared to Carr. This is not helping Armar Carr's race at all.
No, definitely not.
As they now go towards Cop's corner now then, as Carr does all he can to get a hold of George Roke now then, as De Rosa meanwhile in the McLaren has just come into the pits, but now Carr looks to the outside of George Roke here, heading towards Maggotts and Beckett. Not going to work out, he has to back out of that one as a result, and in fact it's also brought Quarg into play because he's not too far behind, and we know that he's currently flying on the racetrack at the moment as well, so could he maybe take advantage of this? Could we maybe even see the Renaults get involved in the Mercedes?
Hold on, here comes Carr.
Has he finally got the move done on Roke this time by down the inside? Luckily the others have been lifted and Carr finally gets by on George Roke into third position. Can Quarg also follow through here?
No, he didn't try it.
Right around the Vale Link Club now then we will go as Quarg will try and get the slipstream into Abbey Corner, but it looks like Roke's just going to have enough to stay in front of the Frenchman, but you can bet that Quarg's going to try and get a run on him down onto the Wellington Straights. Meanwhile, Patel goes around the outside of David Cupart there to go over into 8th place, cleared the fresher tyres working for the Lamborghini as he tries to catch back up to Chatfield, who of course was able to jump in the pits as a result. As now we look at Quarg's up to 4th, he's passed Roke somewhere on the racetrack. Did he get into turn 3? I think he has, in fact, and yes,
yeah,
he
it's
did.
Village.
So,
good stuff.
Bit of a message there to Franco Lopez for what he did to Videri last season. That's how you pull a move off at turn 3. So, yeah, that's that really. As now they go around the left-hander now then, as Quarg has got through on Roke, but does he have the pace to catch up to Armar Carr, I wonder?
I'm not sure, honestly. Kai is on the fresher tires, but there's a big difference in fuel between these two.
Indeed, as we've got a yellow flag and it's down into Vale and it's Valdinger, and it looks like it's a throttle problem for Valdinger, so it looks like he's had a bit of a moment going towards Vale there.
His race was pretty uneventful and it's going to come to an end. The problem came out of nowhere and there was nothing he could do to keep it out of the wall, and now he's beached.
The throttle pretty much went as he went into Vale there, and he basically had to try and turn the car to try and reduce the impact going into the wall. But yeah, a very heavy smash there for Bence Valdinger, and well, that's his
both Alphas out.
Both Alphas out of the race thanks to separate reasons, but it's a throttle issue for Bence Valdinger, and well, you could see where it let go there, right into Vale Corner, and it was a heavy smash into the wall, and Bence will want to forget about this week because it hasn't been the best of weeks for Bence Valdinger, qualifying in last because of getting caught out in the mixed conditions, and he'll want to move on to his home race at Hungary next week, his first ever home Grand Prix, it should be pointed out there.
Yeah, certainly.
But, anyway, as there is Hazen Perrin in second place. So the top 4 currently consisting of Mercedes and Renault, so 2 manufacturers in the top 4 position. So 1.1 is currently the gap between Carr and Quarg. Now it's down to 0.9, so Quarg does look like he's lapping quicker than Carr at this point.
A little bit, yes. Now Chatfield is onto the back of Klaus.
And struggling to get by on the fellow Ferrari-powered car in front, as Patel, meanwhile, is also gaining as he wants to try and gain back the place he lost when Chatfield jumped him in the pits. So now heading down the hangar straight, looks like Chatfield's going to try and hang around the outside. Looks like Klaus is on a similar strategy to Roke and Perrin, and maybe he's on the one-stop strategy as well. So it looks like a split across the field, but Chatfield with enough momentum, looks like with the fresher tyres, should be able to hang around the outside, and he does, and he gets up into 6th position. Is Patel going to try and follow through? The answer to that is no. Quas just does enough to fend off the Lamborghini driver for the moment.
Yep, that's right.
As now coming around the final corner, look at the momentum Patel's going to go. He might actually try and get him into Abbey here. He's got enough to get by on the Haas now. Then heading into turn 1, is Patel going to get the move done on the Haas? No, he's not. He's going to have to back out of that one and maybe try again down the Wellington Straight. But Quarg is definitely getting onto Carr here, and he's definitely lapping quicker than the Mercedes at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
0.7 is the gap between the pair of them as they go into Woodcote now then, as Quarg does all he can to potentially maybe spoil a Mercedes 1-2 today, although Perrin is doing a good job doing the honours there with his one-stop.
Here goes Patel.
Patel on the inside of Klaus, and that's an easy move for the Indian driver, and he's up into 7th place now. He can go after Chris Chatfield, who of course jumped him in the pits earlier on, and he'll look to try and get that place back that he lost. So now we look at Andre Videri, who's now on the back of the other Lamborghini of Laura Chung, who's 1 place away from the points, but she's on, I think, very old tyres, because I think she's also on a heavy fuel load, as now Vaderi tries to look to the inside, but can't get the move done. Chung just has enough to stay in front of the Aston Martin for the moment, and it's just brought Joseph Willows into play as well, who's trying to recover after qualifying all the way down in 21st on the grid, as now Vaderi on the back of Lower Chung. Can he get her into Cop's corner now? Then side by side they go. Is Vaderi through? And he's going to try to have a go as the two green cars go side by side, and it looks like he's just going to have enough momentum to get through, and it looks like Willows wants to try and follow through as well. In fact, no, it doesn't. It got a little bit tight there. Chung gets the place back, and now Vaderi is under pressure from Joseph Willows. But as I say that, Vaderi just had enough momentum coming out of Beckett, so now trying to
got a great run here.
Now, in fact, he opts to go to the outside, strangely. I think he had enough on the inside to go for Lower Chung there, and opts to go for the outside, and it's cost him. Oh, Chung spun it! Chung has spun it!
Oh my god. And that's a bad
pressure.
way to end the streak.
She's kept it away from the wall at the moment, but if she retires from the race, that is going to be her point streak over, as she's waiting for all the cars. And
that's
she's out.
it.
That's it. Her point streak is over after 9 consecutive races. Lower Chung is out of the race. Her point streak has come to an end, and we are down to, I think now 19 runners as a result. But, sorry, not 19 runners. I think it's 18 runners. But it's race over for Lower Chung, and her point streak has come to an end. And really, it was on her own doing there. She got cracked under pressure.
Yeah, driver error in the big one. It's not something you want to do.
Indeed, and, well, that's that then. But, yeah, Chung lost the back end. And that's that really is. Meanwhile, Evan Byrne comes into the pit, so clearly he's reached the strategy there for him. Somebody else has got a pit indicator as well down the field. Meanwhile,
this is going to be a race of damage limitation for Byrne, as Quag is caught up to Ka and is making the move on him. Yellows have been lifted, and Quag makes the move brilliantly.
On a move for Roman Quag there. He is on a mission today as the Frenchman, and he gets by on Omar Carr as it's currently a double podium for the Renaults. His next target is Jesus Perinin once again, who is 2.6 seconds in front. Of course, both Renaults on a split strategy today, and it'd be interesting to see if they can both make their two separate strategies work to maybe even get a double podium here at Silverstone, because this so far has been a very incredible race from Roman Quag, who, let's not forget, started down in 17th, and he is currently, as Yuri's just pointed out to us, the fastest man on the track at the moment.
Brilliant stuff, but he is on the free stop strategy, so that might cost him a little bit.
He's already 1.7 seconds now behind Hayes' Perrin. In fact, both he and Carr are now caught up to the other Renault as now they come around the left-hander as Lopez has nearly got an 8-second lead out in front. Kloss, meanwhile, comes into the pits for his first stop of the race as he comes in for Haas after being, well, stuck behind for quite a while as we now look at Roman Quag now then, who's trying to catch up to Hayes' Perrin as now we can see Lopez is way out in front now, 8 seconds ahead of Perrin as Quag is definitely gaining a lot on Hayes' Perrin. Look how much momentum he's gaining thanks to the fresher tyres he's got compared to Perrin through into Maggott and Beckett. And now Quag is going to get a run here onto his own teammate. He's going to try and go around the outside now then as the two Renaults go side by side heading down towards Stoke Corner. Has Quag got the move done on his own teammate? And the answer to that is he's trying to hang it around the outside, but he can't. In fact, he can make it work. No, he can't.
No, he can't. He's been passed by Carr.
His Carr has got through there as a result. He got pinched there by his own teammate, and Quag is going to have to do all that hard work again.
Yeah, that's right. And Carr was smart to take advantage there.
Yes, indeed. As a result of Perrin essentially pinching Quag on the exit there. Clearly, the Renault bosses are probably not going to be happy about that one, as Quag ended up losing the place again to Carr, who's now going to run on Jesus now, then heading into turn 3 now. Then there we go, as second to fourth are grouped together. Carr currently in a Renault sandwich right now as he comes around these sections of corners.
These guys are catching Mocho.
They're catching up some traffic, but Quag has once again got a run on Carr because Carr is too far back to challenge Perrin. Carr having to go defensive, but I think it's already too late because Quag has got enough momentum and has got back ahead of Omar Carr, back up into third place. Now he's going to try again on his own teammate, and this time might try and get a run him into Cop's corner if he can, like he did earlier on. As now coming down. Support pit straight we go. He's got a good run on his own teammate now then, heading down the support pit straight. He's on the inside. Has Quag got second place of his own teammate into Cop's corner? And the answer to that is yes, is it? Although Perrin is still sticking it there. They're still side by side. Are the two Renault drivers? It is very close indeed. Carr also trying to get involved as well. And again, Perrin refuses to get out the way of his own teammate.
Quag must be very, very angry at that one.
Now he's going to try and get a run down into Stoke Corner now. Then can Quag get the move on Perinen now? They know he's too far back. Perinen once again stays in front. And as Rob mentioned earlier, they have got traffic in front. Although Quag is going to try and get the traction on his own teammate, but can't make the move stick. Looks like Perinen is now going to lap Mocho. As a result, he's having a disastrous race here today. As second to fourth are all bunched up now behind Mocho. Quag goes around the outside. Car goes around the outside. And Car tries to get Quag back if he can.
Yeah, indeed. Look how much time, 4 seconds lost in a single lap for Quag. He's desperate to get past his teammate, but Bernard is not making it easy. He's saying out here, I don't care what your strategy is, I'm going to keep you behind no matter what it takes.
Indeed so, as now Quag does all he can to get a hold of Paisley's Perinen. Once again now then, there's a come down the Wellington straight as Carr tries to get some momentum on the Renault driver, but again, not close enough is Quag on Perinen right now. As Yuri's just pointed out, Lopez has gained 5 seconds as a result of these lot fighting, so Lopez has just minded his own business and pulled away out in front. Q-Pot now into the pits for AlphaTauri, but once again, the battle for second place roaring on between these three drivers now then, as Quag tries to put his teammate under pressure through to Cop's corner, who wasn't close enough on that occasion. He needs to be careful. He's going to try and make a move here because Carr is not too far behind, and Quag has to back out as a result, but he'll look to try and get momentum if he can on Perinen, but I think he's lost a little bit too much, I think, because Carr now is going to try and have a go at Carr down the Quag, down the hanger straight now. Then Carr looking to the outside of Roman Quag, but I think Quag has got the slipstream of Perinen to perhaps stay in front of the Mercedes, which he has done for now, and once again Perinen is staying firm in that Renault.
Yeah, absolutely. He doesn't want to give this place up.
He wants to make that one-stop strategy work today as they come around the double right-hander of Club now then. And now back onto the pitch that we go at the halfway stage of this Grand Prix here at Silverstone. And Perinen is in this lap, so he's finally making his pit stop. But can Quag get by him before they make that pit stop as they make their way into turn 3? Quag not quite close enough to go for a move there, but he could maybe get a run down onto the Wellington straight. We shall wait and see.
Yeah, indeed. Let's see if he's got a good enough run here. As we got yellows, it's for De Rosa.
Gone for a spin. Did he get tapped around there? And it looks like Byrne might have tapped him going into Brooklyn's there. Let's have a look as they make their way into the corner. Byrne was on the inside, and I think that's just a case of De Rosa not really paying attention. There was a little bit of similar action that we saw in Formula 2 yesterday, and De Rosa has gone for a spin as a result, and I think you'd have to put that down to De Rosa. I think he should have paid more attention as well. Lots of traffic going on there, but we need to focus on what's going on here. The yellow flags have only just now been lifted, a little bit too late for Quag to go for a move into Brooklyn's there, as they now come around Lovefield for the 26th time today, as these three are still scrapping it out for second place. Perinen is of course pitting at the end of this lap for his one and only stop, we imagine, today, as now Quag on the inside of his own teammate. Can he get him into Cop's corner this time? But they're going to go side by side out of Cop's now then. Keep an eye on Carr to see if he takes advantage of Carr, because Perinen just had enough to hang it around the outside, through into Cop's corner, through Mackett's, and then through into Beckett's. We go now then, as then we'll head into Hanger Straight, and will Quag get Perinen before he makes his pit stop now then, as he's tucked up behind his teammate. He's going to go to the outside, but Carr can sense an opportunity to make it 3 wide.
He's going to try to pass both.
He's going to try and have a go down the inside. He goes. Oh, very close to contact. Carr, you need to back out because Perinen's coming in. Oh, thank God there was no contact there.
Carr's made it.
Oh, says thank you very much, and he's back ahead of the two Renaults.
This might be the best move I've seen all race long, and we've seen a lot of great moves here.
Indeed, so I thought for a minute there was going to be a disaster at the pit entrance, but thankfully there wasn't, and Carr is back ahead of the two Renaults, but Quag is not going to let him go that easily.
You want to know who the real winner of this battle is? Franco Lopez. He's just pulling away and securing his race win.
Quag is coming into the pits at the end of this lap. Did I also say Carr was coming in as well? I'm not sure. As,
no, he's fueled for 3 more laps.
Okay, so Quag is going to be pitting before Carr then, but it looks like he might want to try and get him before he makes that pit stop. Perinen finishes his pit stop, and as expected, he is going to the end of the race. So he is on a one stop, so that confirms that Roke is also on a one stop, and he's pitting at the end of this lap. As now look at, let's have a look, as we look back at Carr, as Quag is actually a little bit too far behind to get Carr at this point in time. Of course, these two used to be teammates, of course, back in 2015 at Williams, so they know each other a little bit well, it's fair to say, but clearly the gloves are off in their little fight today, especially with Perinen involved as well, who could be looking to try and get himself amongst that fight for the podium today, as Lopez continues to waltz on in front, as Now heading our way into Copse Corner, looks like Quag is actually dropping back a bit now from our car. Looks like his tyres might have just given up during that little fight, and now he's thankfully coming into the pits here and it's that to put some fresh rubber down and try and see if he can catch back up to Car before he makes his pit stop, and even his own teammate Perinen.
Yeah, that's right.
Now they head down the hangar straight now then towards Stoke Corner. We will see Quag peel his way now into the pits as they go around the right-hander. As now Quag going to the right and into the pits comes the Frenchman in the Renault now then. As he now makes his way into the pits. Let's see how quick this pit stop is going to be then from the Renault mechanics now then. As he now heads his way into the pits. As now Quag pulls into his box. Let's see how quick this stop is going to be then for the Frenchman as he'll pull on a fresh set of tyres and fuel now then. Let's see what his strategy is going to curtail. 17 laps, and that is a free stop, is it? It is a free stop, so he is going to have to pit in one more time. So I wonder if Car is doing the same or whether he's on a two-stop, because we did mention that he is going 3 laps longer than Quag as Roke now comes into the pits for his one. And only
not 3, a lot more, 20.
Yeah, so yeah, he's going quite long, so Quag has got to catch him back up if he wants to make the free stop work. Meanwhile, here is Perinen. Speaking of Renaults now then, and Perinen goes through on Quag, so Quag is going to have to try and re-overtake him on the track once again. But of course, Perinen is going
comes Roke.
to the... Roke has already made his pit stop. He's going to the end of the race. It's not been the race for him. He's not been able to make the one-stop work like Perinen has today. As he's going to rejoin in that looks like 8th place. So it looks like it's going to be a disastrous race for the Red Bulls today. They're going to lose some points to Mercedes as a result.
Yeah, so it seems.
Yes. As now, as my voice decided to break there, as in fact I've just noticed that Armar, Jesus and Roman are all in the chat right now, but they're clutching the tables right now with a bit of nervousness over their little scrap they're having. But anyway, as...
looks like Chatfield is coming in this lap.
Well, the gap is 1.4 seconds between the two Renault drivers. Meanwhile, Gal is on the back of Chatfield, who, as Rob just said, is coming into the pits at the end of this lap. As now, is Gal going to get by on Chatfield into Copse Corner here? The answer to that is no, as Patel is now storming up behind the pair of them now. Then Patel tries to look on to Gal as best as possible, but he can't make that one work out as they're now going to Beckett's and then into Chapel. They will soon go. Flicks it through the right-hander, now down through Chapel. Will go the Lamborghini drivers and now make their way onto the hangar straight. As 12.1 seconds is the gap between the two Mercedes drivers as a result of that freeway scrap that we saw earlier on. 1 second now the gap between the two Renault drivers. As Chatfield will peel his way into the pits, which he does. That holds up Gal. Could Patel take full advantage here? The answer to that is no, as these two will continue to scrap now that Chatfield is in the pits, as Patel is actually going quite long before he makes his next pit stop. As Lopez is coming in at the end of this lap, I think, because I think I saw a red pit indicator on Khan. Yes, I did. So Lopez is pitting at the end of this lap.
Will it be a 2 or a free stop? That's a big question. Either way, he's got a safety gap to Ka, so this should be the win for Lopez.
Indeed, as now they come around the right-hander now then, as through into Chapel we go, as we'll see Lopez soon make his way into the pits, as it's currently 4 tenths between the two Renault drivers, as Quag is on the back of Perinen meanwhile, so their battle is going to resume, as now is Quag going to try and go for it into Copse Corner. Can he work this time? He's got a bit more momentum, and this time he finally passes his own teammate Quag up into 3rd place. Now can he try and make that free stop work, because of course Quag has got to pit once more before the end of the race.
Yeah, he's got to catch Kai if he wants to make it work.
Lopez is now into the pits, meanwhile, for Mercedes. He'll be curious to see what strategy the Mercedes is on. I don't think he'd care too much because he's obviously got a long way into the race. He's on a free stop as well, so he's got to pit one more time. He's only got 14 laps of fuel in his wagon, so Car will temporarily take the lead. And in fact, I want to look at Car's fuel load because we talked about this earlier.
Like I said, Car has 20 laps. Yeah.
Is the legit leader here, so if Lopez wants to win this race, he's got to catch up to his teammates. So are we looking at a 2020 scrap for the win once again with Lopez and Car, like we saw 2 seasons ago, which Car won?
You'd have to argue though that Lopez has much fresher tires and should be able to close that gap easily.
Indeed so, as now the Renaults are coming up to traffic, Qual not too far behind Lopez, but I'd imagine with the fresher tyres, Lopez should be able to get away from Roman Quag, as Quag now puts a lap on the Haas there, as that is Michael Macho, who, as mentioned, is once again having a disastrous race, as now the other Renault goes through. Of course, Perinen is going to the end of the race, so he's not pitting anymore for the rest of the Grand Prix. Meanwhile, unseen by the camera, in fact, that's Patel in 5th, as he's now got George Roke now breathing down his neck. Roke trying to make up some positions. Roke tries to look to the inside into Adrian, but obviously that's not going to work out, and he has to back out as a result there. As we just see Willows there going to the pits. Looks like I think Byrne just overtook him there just before he came into the pit. So Byrne trying to make his strategy work. He's got to pit once more. He's actually pitting roughly around the same time as when Franco Lopez makes his pit stop. So I do wonder if Byrne can actually try and salvage something in this race. I'm not sure, but we'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, Q-Park attacking one of the Ferraris there. That is Chris Chatfield, and once again can't find a way through into Brooklands there. They're currently behind Andre Vaderi's Aston Martin at the moment. I'm not sure if that's... In fact, no, Vaderi is in the points at the moment, up in 8th place, but he's still yet to make a stop, I think. But Vaderi running very well, possibly trying to make amends after what happened with Martins earlier on with Amelia Wilson. But anyway, coming out of Copse Corner there, we go as Willows rejoins in 14th after his pit stop. Q-Pot tried to have a go again at Chatfield, but it didn't work out. As meanwhile, the two
What is
Renaults...
the gap between the two Mercedes in the meantime?
Well, it's rudely covering it up there, that gap there, so we weren't able to see. 6.1.
Let's get an update right now. 5.2. Lopez is getting rapidly.
He's actually maybe looking at the fastest lap there because he's just set a purple first sector there, so he might be looking at the fastest lap there for Franco Lopez. As now, meanwhile, we look at Roque, who's now on the back of Rahul Patel's Lamborghini now then. As now coming around the left-hander we go. Is Roque going to maybe wait this time?
Patel's gone off track.
Tail went wide, Roque tried to take advantage, didn't work, and now Kloss is in this fight as well, and Kloss is now going to run on George Roque here down the Wellington Straight, as Kloss, is he going to take full advantage of the Red Bull driver side by side into Brooklands, and Roque tried to hang it around the outside, but it's not going to be enough, and Kloss takes 6th place.
2.8, Lopez has gained massively onto Car.
Is Car caught up to some traffic, or is that just on tyres? I'm not sure, as in fact it
Bit
might
of
be
both.
traffic. That Car is struggling to lap the McLaren there, and as a result, Lopez has taken full advantage, and he's now not that far behind. It looks like he's going to set another fastest lap in the process as well, as they make their way onto the pit straight. Is it going to be a fastest lap? It most certainly is, a 125.311, so currently Lopez holding on to the bonus point for the fastest lap of the race. As,
how much did he gain on Car in that single lap?
Well, it was 6 seconds. It might have been about 4 seconds in total, so
4.8.
Thanks to that bit of traffic, which was Josie Willows' McLaren, as Lopez is now going to lap the McLaren himself, and now he's going to go after his own teammate Armar Carr for the lead of the race. And well, if anybody knows what happened, if anybody's on Discord and saw what happened during the test race at one particular corner, I think some people will be hoping that doesn't happen in the real race here. But
which corner was that?
Copse Corner.
Okay.
But anyway, as meanwhile, Roque has overtaken Kloss again on seen by the cameras as Kloss tried to find a way back through. But now the two Mercedes are going into combat now then, as it's 1.3 seconds between Carr and Lopez. Once again, the inter-team battle is back between Carr and Lopez at this track, as Carr desperate to get his first win of the year, but he's got a hungry Franco Lopez right behind him on fresher tyres, as now looks like Lopez is going to get a very good run on him down the hanger straight. He's going to look to the outside. Is Lopez going to grab the lead off his own teammate as it goes side by side? Look at the straight line speed Lopez has got around the outside, and he retakes the lead. Lopez back in front, and well, it seems to me, because he's on a longer strategy, I think Carr's tyres might be in a bit of trouble here.
The only one who can stop Franco Lopez today is Franco Lopez. I'm just going to make it clear.
Indeed. Quag is only 7.4 seconds now behind Armar Carr, so he's gaining and, of course, trying to get back in sync with Armar Carr due to the fact that he's having to pit again. And it is Willows actually trying to unlap himself on Armar Carr here. So could Willows actually be a thorn to Armar Carr here and maybe help the two Renaults out? Who knows? Meanwhile, Kloss is now all over the back of Rahul Patel's Lamborghinis. He's also got Roque right behind those two. I mean, switching places with Rahul, but it looks like Kloss has got a run on Patel into Stoke Corner. Has he got a move done? And he has. He's up into 5th. Can Roque now take full advantage? He's on the outside of Patel, heading down towards Vale Corner. Roque trying to hang it around the outside, but he can't make it work. But Kloss is up to 5th, and Roque once again stuck behind the Lamborghini.
Meanwhile, Byrne is just 11 seconds away from some points, though he might still get a point or two damage limitation for him. Meanwhile, Roque, even though he's fueled to the end, he's on a different strategy to Patel and Kloss. He is struggling.
Is indeed, as they now make their way through into turn 3, as you can see how much Lopez is pulling away now. 2.8 seconds. 4.6 is a gap between Carr and Quag. I think Carr's tyres are in a little bit of trouble here, Rob.
Quag is looking very good for second place in this race, and if Carr's not careful, Byrne could take third.
Meanwhile,
but surely Armar Carr will be furious at his team strategy. They've left him out for too long.
Indeed, and he's not scheduled to pit until, well, I think about another, 13 laps or so, something like that. I'm not sure, but, well, close enough, yeah, another 13 laps. He's
And
not
remember, he
scheduled
was
to pit.
faster than Lopez in the first stint. If he had the same strategy as Lopez, Car would have won today.
Lopez has finally unlapped himself at the expense of Armar Car, and now Quad could try and catch up to the Mercedes. Meanwhile, Roke's still stuck behind Rahul Patel, and definitely getting frustrated being stuck behind the Lamborghini in this race. But now through into Chapel, he's got a run here on Rahul Patel's Lamborghini. Can he try and hang it around the outside of Rahul Patel here as they go side by side up towards Stowe Corner now then? Can he get the move done? The answer to that is no. Patel holds on to the place for the moment, although Roke might try and get good traction out of Stowe, but he can't. And in fact, he's going to try and dive it down into Vale if he can, but he can't make it work. And again, Patel being an annoyance for George Roke here.
This is helping Klaus pull away quite a lot.
Is indeed as they come down the Western Straight. Meanwhile, it's only now 7 tenths, between Carr and Quagg, and Quagg is right with Armar Carr once again. He's going to try and look to the inside into Cop's corner, but he can't make it work. Quagg once again all over the back of his former teammate Armar Carr here as they go into Maggott and Beckett. He can't make it work. So through Maggott we go, and then into Beckett. We will go on the racetrack. It's Quagg going to try and get a run down onto the hangar straight. I wonder if Perinen is watching on to see what is going on between these two, as he's currently a little bit back from these two. There he is. You just saw him in the background. There's now Quagg. Looks to the outside of Armar Carr. Once again, these two resuming their fight. Quagg tried to look to the outside of Armar Carr, but he can't make it work. And Quagg once again has to hang back on the Mercedes for the moment now then, as it's now 8.2 between the top two here, as now through into Vale and the double right under a club. And I wonder if these two keep fighting any longer, it's going to allow Perinen to catch back up, I wonder. And that could be good news for him, because Perinen could get second place here thanks to that one stop he's on, as Quagg again looks to the inside of Armar Carr here, but he can't make it work. And, well, he's going to have to hang back for the moment now then as they go around the right-hander, as Perinen is now not far behind. He's 2.7 seconds behind these two. In fact, he's just right there, in fact. But Quagg now, can he get a run on Carr down the Wellington straight now that he's got the slipstream? He's on the inside. Carr doesn't put up too much of a fight. It looks like Quagg is going to get the move done on the Mercedes driver.
There's nothing he could do there.
He's through. Quagg up into second place, and well, that's that really. A chance of a Mercedes 1-2 gone, and could Perinen now with fresher tyres than Carr, and on the one stop as well, let's not forget, make it a double podium for Renault today.
I have a bigger question, Joe. Can Quagg win this race? Can he catch Lopez? As Chatfield meanwhile made a brilliant double overtake.
As Roke was, I'll come back to answering that question a bit. Chatfield brilliantly done there. Roke once again getting more angry, and he's lost another place thanks to him still getting stuck behind Rahul Patel. Whoa, that was nearly close to contact there between the pair of them. Physics for you right there as the two wheels went inside each other, but there we are. As now, that's that really. There's now Roke once again all over the back of Rahul Patel. But back to your question, I do think it's probably going to be a bit too much of an ask for Quagg to catch up to Lopez, if I'm being totally honest, but you never know.
Let's see what his pace is like on the next few laps.
Meanwhile, trying to have a go at Patel, but again, probably getting a little bit too impatient. 11.2 is the current gap between them after Quagg made his overtake, so we'll obviously keep an eye on that down the bottom of the screen as we look back to the battle. Well, we did, but briefly not. Meanwhile, look at this. Perinen is now on the back of Armar Carr. Carr's tyres are definitely shot at this point in time as Quagg now starts to get away from the Mercedes driver, and now it's the other Renault's turn to attack Armar Carr for the final podium place. And of course, let's not forget, Perinen is going to the end of the race, so you do wonder if maybe his tyres might start to wear out like Carr's does towards the end of the race. But for the moment, Perinen on the inside of Armar Carr into Abbey. He can't make it work and has to hang behind the Mercedes for the moment, but he might try and get him onto the Wellington straight. We shall wait and see. Through the right-hander we go now then, and then into the left will go Jesus Perinen in the Renault. So through we go, and now into Aintree we go. Is Perinen going to try and get a run on Carr down the Wellington straight? He's in the slipstream of the Mercedes driver. Carr goes defensive. Perinen tries to go to the inside. Can he pull the move off? He tries to look to the inside. Oh, that was very close there. I thought they were going to run into each other there, but thankfully Perinen lifted off the gas there to avoid a collision. Is now coming around left field corner. Perinen all over the back of Armar Carr here as they now come around Woodcote. Is Perinen going to try and make the move here on the Mercedes driver into Cop's corner? He's down the inside. He thought about the move, but he can't make it work, so he'll probably have to wait for the hanger straight to make that one work.
Yeah, indeed. And God knows what he has to do here. He has to keep him behind as long as possible, and then somehow push and catch him in the last stint. Though his last stint will be rather short, as meanwhile Roke fails once again to overtake Patel.
Yeah, indeed, and Patel getting further forward. But what is going on between Carr and Perrin, I wonder, down that hangar straight? Currently 5 tenths is the gap between the pair of them, as Carr currently in second place. I think
He's
Carr is
slower
still in.
than Lopez.
Yeah, as it looks like Lopez is just in a league of his own at the front of the field. But again, I do wonder what's going on between Carr and Perrin meanwhile, because that is the battle that is going on at this stage. Perrin wasn't able to get him down the hangar straight, but he's trying to put him under a bit of pressure here through turns 1 and 2 on the racetrack now. Then up to turn 3. So yeah, turn 3 we go now. Then flicks it in through the right-hander and then into left, who will soon go now. Then Mocho in the pits for Haas meanwhile. Of course, in fact, I'll hold that thought for the moment. Perrin now threw it into the left-hander. Is he going to get Carr this time by? I think he's a little bit closer to the Mercedes. He's on the inside. Carr defends a little bit too late. Is Perrin through this time by? And yes, he is. Perrin up into third place. And Carr is outside of the podium as a result. The Renaults have had a fantastic race here today.
Guy's going to be furious at his team for this strategy. It's left him out to dry. He was faster than Lopez in the first stint on a heavier fuel load, but now he's just struggling as Gal meanwhile overtakes Federi, who's coming to the pits.
Indeed, and of course, whilst we've got this little pause that's going on as Kloss is coming in at the end of this lap, just as Chatfield is closing him down, we might as well remind you as well, of course, that the current sign-ups are open right now for 2023. We are halfway through the sign-up week, so if you haven't signed up yet or you're yet to edit your choices, you need to be quick, because you've only got until Saturday at 10 PM BST for that one to happen. As Roke again, even though this time he wasn't impatient going into Aintree, he lost all the momentum once again, and he's really struggling to pass Patel.
Yeah, that's right.
Through into Lutfield corner now then. We will go as we're on lap 38 of 52. As mentioned, there is a pit call for Barch's Clot in the top 10. As now heading into Copse corner now then we will go as they flick it in through that right-hander now then. As now heading to Maggots and Beckett's. They will soon approach now then. Roke once again can't find a way through on the Lamborghini. He's probably getting more and more frustrated in the cockpit right now. And well, we talked about it earlier. It looks like Red Bull are going to have a disastrous race here at Silverstone. And they're going to lose a lot of points to Mercedes if this keeps on going. Kloss meanwhile into the pits for Haas now then, as he's making his final stop of the race now then, as the Haas driver comes in, and he's currently looking at some good points at the moment, is Kloss. Meanwhile, Roke is still stuck behind Rahul Patel's gearbox as they come around that final turn now. Then there is Byrne. He's only just one place away now from the point, and
yeah, but
of course
he's got a bit.
As indeed, but I think a majority of people around him have got to pit once more before the end of the race, so that's something to bear in mind as Lopez continues to pull away in front. He's got a 13.3 second lead over Roman Quag, as he's got a big gap to teammate Perrin, but of course let's not forget Quag does have to pit once more, so there is a chance that Perrin could get up into second place by the time Quag makes his pit stop, and of course Carl will have to make a pit stop as well once more before the end. Kloss meanwhile rejoins in 10th after his pit stop. He rejoins just behind Miklos Gal in the AlphaTauri, as now making their way into Brooklands now then we will go, as Byrne meanwhile just trying to look at the gap he's 6.2 behind these two. Of course, he's not on fresher tyres than Kloss, so I don't expect him to catch up to the Polish driver, but I think he is definitely gaining onto Miklos Gal in front, so it'd be interesting to see how that one pans out. As meanwhile, Kloss now on the inside of Miklos Gal into Copse, but he can't make it work, so maybe he has to wait for the hangar straight to make that one work out for the moment. But yeah, it's just been, there has been battles all over the race so far, Rob.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coming out of Beckett's now then is Kloss going to get a run here on Miklos Gal down the hangar straight now then. He's going to look to the outside strangely enough, as Byrne is not too far behind these two, as now is Kloss going to hang it around the outside with the fresher tyres. He's going to try and have a go, but he can't make it work, and Gal holds on to the plate for the moment as they make their way down towards Vale and Club now then, as of course let's not forget Lopez has to pit as well very soon. As meanwhile, in fact Perrin has made a mistake and Carr's back in front, as that's a spin for Perrin.
Oh my god,
Perrin has potentially bottled a chance of a podium here. He's very lucky he didn't get collected, and all that work that he's done in this race has gone to nothing.
He's broken his front wing.
And well, that's pretty much the podium chance gone for Jesus Perrin, and clearly Carr put him under a lot of pressure there.
Yeah, indeed. My goodness. He just understood right at Copse here up on the grass and then completely lost the car. Ended up in a spin, and so lucky not to run into the wall, but he's lost his front wing on the rejoin.
He's very lucky as well not to get collected, because there was a back marker that was just behind Perrin and Carr, and he was lucky to not collect Perinin on that occasion. And, well, that was that, really. You can see it from the outboard camera. You can just see there, look, he's lost back in it. It's a McLaren. That McLaren is very lucky. He did not collect Jesus Perinin there. That was Kirishima DeRosa. He's probably going to need a change of underwear after that one.
Yeah, indeed. And if that was dangerous, if they made contact, Burnham would have found himself with a big penalty, but thankfully not.
I don't know, Rob, because I think that would be classed as a driver error as opposed to a dangerous rejoin because he didn't have control of the car. So I think the stewards would have been a little bit more lenient there. So
Perhaps.
yeah, that's that.
Well, let's ask
really.
the stewards. What would they have done?
Well, that's that then. As he's going to have to pit, as well as he's got a problem. Meanwhile, some more mechanical problems for McLaren. And it's an electrical problem for Joseph Willows. So once again, I have to say this season, when it comes to mechanical failures, Willows has probably been the most unluckiest.
Yeah, definitely.
Along with Jesus Perinin as well, although this is not a mechanical failure, that was a driver error on that occasion. But anyway, meanwhile, Roke is still stuck behind as his teammate Byrne is going to be coming into the pits at the end of this lap. Perinin now into the pits to get a change of front wing. He tries to have a go there, but he can't get the move to work there as they go through into Beckett. As Perinin, of course, is coming in, and he'll have to change his front wing as a result. How far back is he going to drop then after this now? Then, as they'll have to put on a new front wing and a fresh set of tyres as a result. And no need to add any fuel. In the case of GP4, they can decrease it somehow. But anyway,
they just take a scoop and take fuel out like it's ice cream.
Yes, indeed. 7.8 seconds of pit stop. Through goes Chatfield in the Ferrari. I think Patelli's into the pits. I think that's why I saw Lamborghini mechanics in the pit lane. That's because I think Patelli's in. Yes, he is. So for now, Roke is free of the Lamborghinis. He'll look to try. In fact, because of course Roke is going to the end of the race, of course, I think. So no problems there. As Lopez is coming into the pits at the end of this lap. At the same time, he's coming up to the back of his rival, Evan Byrne. Well, that's a bit embarrassing for Evan Byrne there, having your rival right behind you in the pit lane, albeit not for position. Lopez trying to lap Byrne here.
That would not be good, as Byrne is slowing him down.
Yeah, indeed, but it's not going to matter too much because Lopez had a big gap in front of Roman Quagg anyway. Of course, Quagg will take the lead temporarily, but of course he needs to pit once more before the end of the race, as now...
Yeah, but Byrne will have garage advantage.
Yep, so Lopez will have to wait. But again, I don't think it's going to affect Lopez too much because he had a big lead before this pit stop anyway. And he will comfortably take the lead back once Quagg makes his pit stop. And the same goes for Armar Carr as well if he also goes through. So Quagg temporarily takes the lead of the race. I think Lopez might actually just do enough to stay in front of Carr. In fact, because Carr was only
Quagg is going to pit in one lap, I think.
Pit in this lap because you can see the red indicator on the top of Jesus Perinin there. So Perinin rejoins in 5th place. So he's only really lost 1 place after that spin, really, or 2 if you count the overtake from Carr there. But anyway.
But it's a place he'll take back from Chatfield. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, he's obviously got the fresher tyres as a result. But in terms of a podium, I think that's gone. But of course, let's not forget, Carr does have to pit once more. So Carr could end up being behind Perinin after the pit stop, or maybe not.
Nah, the gap is pretty big.
Jesus did just set a purple sector 2 there, meanwhile. I should just point that one out.
It goes close around the outside of Tupac. And he's overtaken Roke as well.
That is Miklos Gal, in fact, because, oh,
it's Gal, yeah, my bad, not Roke.
That's Gal there. I think, well, he already passed Roke earlier on. That's why he was scrapping with Patel. Roke is
No, but close pitted, you know.
Yes, he did, but of course, Roke is going to the end of the race, so we'll see if Klopp can catch back up to Roke by the end or not. So, of course, let's not forget as well, Quagg is coming in at the end of this lap, and in about a few laps we should see Carr make his pit stop as well. But
he'll be waiting for that pit stop because he is not on the right strategy. If he had the same strategy as Franco Lopez, Armar Carr would have won today's race. But unfortunately, the team have left him on a very compromised strategy and left him vulnerable to the Renaults.
And speaking of Renaults, Roman Quagg is now into the pits for his final stop of the day. And it looks like P2 could be in the bag here for the Frenchman because, of course, Carr has got to pit once more before the end of the race. So Lopez now resumes the lead as a result. Carr will temporarily take 2nd place, but, of course, he needs to pit once more before the end of the race. And so, meanwhile, Perinin is closing on to Chatfield, meanwhile, as expected, really, as he sets another purple middle sector there. He was down on Lopez in the 1st sector, but now sets another purple one. So could Perinin perhaps take the fastest lap here, I wonder, as they now go on the...
Gallagher takes Q-Park.
I did see they were close together, the two Alpha Towers, while we're looking at Quag, and clearly Gal has been able to complete the move on Q-Box. So Gal up into 8th place, as now, let's see if Perinin does take the fastest lap away here from Franco Lopez, as now Perinin crosses the lines. Is going to be a fastest lap? No, it's not.
No.
He loses time in the last sector by 23,000, so no fastest lap there for Perinin. But meanwhile, Chatfield's only just lapped the back marker there, so that's kind of compromised him by trying to stay in front of Perinin in this race. Quag does rejoin in third. He had a big gap to Chatfield and Perinin anyway, and that's obviously going to be the thing that's going to cost Perinin a podium here today. As now, there is Perinin. He's just put a lap there on Mocha, who again has had a disastrous race here at Silverstone. As did that say I think Chatfield. So Chatfield's pitting this lap, so it's not going to matter too much for Perinin if he gets by or not, but I think he'll want to dispose of him pretty quickly if he can. As now, coming around Woodcut now, then we will go. Perinin not close enough to get Chatfield that time by to go around Copse Corner now then. Heading out to Copse now then. It's Perinin all over the back of Chatfield now then. Heading into Maggots and Beckett's, who will soon go. As Mocho just watching on to see what's going on between these two. But he's not going to get himself involved too much. As now Perinin has got momentum on Chatfield. He's going to pass him before Chatfield makes his final stop. He's going to go to the outside. Look at the momentum.
Plus has passed Roke in the meantime.
Is up into 6th place, and Roke has lost the place once again to the Haas driver as Perinin goes around the outside of Chatfield there for 4th. But of course, Chatfield was coming in anyway, so it didn't matter. Sontag and DeRosa also pit on this lap as well. Carr not pitting just yet, but he will be pitting in about a couple of laps' time, I would imagine. As that would mean that Quag
is looking to lap Burn in the meantime.
Meanwhile, we're looking at Roman Quag, who actually made a mistake. Quag made a mistake going into Stoke Corner, so both Renaults have made a mistake in today's race.
My goodness me, he's lost the back end completely mid-corner. Hit the wall, but the front wing didn't break. So, explain this to me. Bernin's front wing breaks off when he goes easily over the rumble strips, but when Quag hits the wall heavily, the front wing doesn't break. What are these things made of?
I wonder if they've got the same sort of suspension as what the real-life Aston Martin has, because that seems to be made of steel so far this season. But
oh no, it's anyway, made of Nokia's.
Yeah, maybe indeed. Yeah, that might actually open the door for Carr to possibly get 2nd place as a result of that, because Quag with that mistake has
I don't think he's got enough of a gap.
Well, you say that, but let's not forget, Carr will have fresher tyres, so that might give him a chance to catch.
Yeah, but for how long? For 5 laps?
I'll have to wait and see, of course, once he makes his pit stop and see if he's able to catch Quag back up or not. So maybe a chance for a Mercedes 1-2 is not completely out of the window just yet. But yeah, I wonder if, because I'm not seeing the chat at the moment, I do think that a certain comment has come up now with those 2 Renault mistakes. I would not be surprised. But anyway.
It's the Intersteiner comment.
As now we come down towards Vale and then into the double right-hander of Club. As Quag now then, probably kicking himself over that mistake, it's fair to say. Perinin now 17.5 seconds as a result of that. And of course, Perinin is on fresher tyres now.
How did Quag only miss out on the fastest lap by 600s?
Well, it seems that the Renaults have difficulty trying to lap us. Meanwhile, Carr is pitting at the end of this lap. You can see the red pit indicator on the top of Lopez. So Amar Carr is coming into the pit at the end of this lap. As
he'll be relishing the opportunity to get rid of these tires.
Yes, indeed, because he has been on them for a very, very long time, and he'll be desperate to get on those fresh tyres. And maybe we might be a bit of an ass, but we shall see. It might be a bit of an ass, but he'll want to try and see if he can catch back up to Roman Quag now after he made that mistake going into Stoke Corner. So that's that really, as now he goes through into Maggots and Beckett's now then on the racetrack. So now through the right-hander he will go, as now we look at Joseph Willows there, who's coming up to the back of Roman Quag there. But it's not going to really matter for Quag too much there. I think, in fact, Quag might have actually lapped him there. But anyway, as there is Byrne, who is now a lap down on Franco Lopez. So, yeah, Byrne is now a lap down in this race and still outside of the point. So, if he needs to get a move on if he wants to get at least something out of this race. Otherwise, it's going to be no points for the Irishman as Amar Carr is now into the pits. Quag will get 2nd place, but now the chase is on to see if Carr can actually catch him back up or not, now that he will have fresher tyres to go to the end of the race. It should be quite a short stop because he's only going to be fueling for about a few laps, so it should be quite a short stop from the Mercedes mechanic. 6.2 seconds. The pit stop. Through goes Quag in the Renault. It is a slow pit lane, but we'll have to wait and see.
Quag is too far ahead, I think.
Arga's just gone through past the pit exit there. Where is Carr now then, that is? As there's
He's a long way away.
So Perrin goes around the final corner there. Carr, I'm just trying to keep an eye on the bottom of the screen there to see if it says
he's gone out now.
Come out now. Perrin is not too far behind him, but I think, yeah, Carr has just got enough of a gap to stay in front of the Renault driver. So, yeah, that mistake
I think it's impossible for him to catch Quag, even with the Frenchman's mistake.
We shall wait and see. But as mentioned, Perrin, of course, probably ruined that mistake he made when fighting with Armar Carr. And, well, it definitely showed that a double podium today was on the cards for Renault. But, yeah, that's pretty much that, really. As now look at Quag now, then he's just making his way around Maggots and Beckett's now then on the racetrack. Meanwhile, that's Lopez going through. In fact, Byrne's not too far away from the points because that was Lopez just passing Videri. It's now Gal and Byrne are now on the back of Videri for that final points place. And now Gal's going to try and take full advantage of that. He's down the inside into Abbey Corner. He hasn't got the move done, and now Byrne is now onto the back of these two as a result. And in fact, he's only now one place away from the points because I think somebody is actually just coming to the pits. It was David Cupak. Just come in. So
have a problem.
As no, I think it was a scheduled stop. I think for Cupak, as he's just made his pit stop there. As that's that. So yeah, I think it was scheduled there for Cupak.
No, I'm pretty sure Cupak was on the one-stop strategy. So I just want to see.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
Oh, okay, right. My bad.
Yeah, he was on a two-stop. As meanwhile, Byrne is now on the back of this fight for what is now 9th place. Videri wanted to try and get points for Aston Martin here after qualifying down in 16th. So he's basically assumed the role that Johannes Martins did earlier on the race before being taken out of the race by Amelia Wilson. As now heading their way into Copse Corner now then. We will go as Gal tries to get a run on Videri into Copse, but he can't make it work. Byrne just looking on to see if he can try and take advantage as best as possible. And now heading their way into Maggots and Beckett's now then. We will go through Maggots and then into Beckett's now then. We will go. As now coming into Chapel now then we will soon approach. As now we head into the Hangar Straight now then. As now can he get the move done? Gal's going to look to the inside of Videri now then. Is this going to be P9 for the Hungarian? And it is indeed. So Gal up into 9th place. Is Byrne now going to try and follow through and get himself into the points and cost Videri any chance of getting a point for Aston Martin today? As now they make their way through into the left and right hander now then. On the racetrack, Cupak, meanwhile, rejoined in 12th after his pit stop, and he's 11 seconds behind these two. So now Byrne has got a run here on Andre Videri heading into the first corner. Can he get himself back into the points after what happened to him at the start of the race? No, he can't. He has to back off for that as a result. As meanwhile, Carr just laps the Williams there in time. 10.7 seconds.
That's going to set between him and lap.
10.7 seconds of the gap between Quag and Carr, meanwhile, as Carr looks like he's going to take the fastest lap point away from Franco Lopez unless he makes a mistake in these final few turns, which so far it looks like he isn't. So now through the double right-hander goes Carr, and let's see if he does take the fastest lap away from Franco Lopez, heading on to the pit straight, and yes, he does, a 1:24.928. He actually breaks into the 1:24, does Armar Carr, the first person to do so, so that's pretty impressive for him there, as the gap is now 10.2 seconds behind Quag. So yeah, I am now leaning into the camp that Rob says, and I don't think Carr is going to have enough to catch up to Quag, but maybe another mistake could happen, you never know. Meanwhile, Patel is back onto George Roke, and it looks like Roke is once again going to lose another place here, and Patel is through into 7th place, and for once today, Patel has actually had a good race today.
Red Bull can end up finishing in 8th and 11th. That would be an absolute disaster class for them.
Well, either way, it's going to be a disaster, even if Byrne does get himself into the points. He's still looking for a way through on Andre Videri, but he can't find
Gal is pulling away. This is now or never for Byrne.
Indeed, as we now go through into Vale and Club now, then we will go as Lopez starts lap 48 now of the race. 5 laps to go for the race leader here at Silverstone as they now make their way onto the pit straight now. Then Byrne all over the back of Videri. Can he get the move done on the Italian into Abbey now, then into the first corner? No, he can't. Has to back out of that one as a result, and once again is stuck behind the Aston Martin at this point in time. Videri doing all he can to get one solitary point for the Silverstone-based team. It is the team's home race, of course. Their base is just outside of Lovefield Corner, really. A little bit away from Lovefield Corner. So they want to put on a show for what is more of their home race, really, given this is where they do most of their testing. As now, well, most of the British-based teams do, but of course they use it a lot more than the others do. As Willows now, all right, Rob, as Willows is now into the pits for his final stop of the race. In fact, it said he Yeah, because of course let's not forget Willows did have a mechanical problem earlier on, so I mentioned more mechanical problems for them, and it looks like once again McLaren are not going to score any points here at Silverstone. As now Byrne looks to the inside of Aderi, he can't get it to work, and once again still struggling to find a way through on the Aston at this point in time. As they now make their way through into Maggots and Beckett's now. Then we will go on the racetrack now. Then is Byrne going to get Vaderi this time by as they now come down the hanger straight, as Byrne now then in the slipstream of the Mercedes powered Aston Martin down onto the back the hanger straight. He for some reason went to the outside and was not able to get the move done. As problems for Jamie Griffiths. Griffiths has got a problem. So we talked about how he had a good qualifying yesterday and he was dropping backwards, setting reality in, and now he's got a mechanical problem. Now he has got the pit indicator. Can the Welshman make it back to the pit, or will the problem be too terminal for him to get back to the pit? Let's have a look and see, as it's not showing us for some reason. There we are, electrical. It's another electrical problem in this race. So the same issue as what Joseph Willows had in this race. As speaking of which,
Willows.
He just goes by there as Sontag tries to chase him down. In fact, of course, I don't think he will, because Willows has just made his stop. Sontag's going to get held up by his own teammate.
Look how many places Quag has gained. 15, amazing.
Indeed, as Sontag goes through, but can Griffiths make it back to the pits as he's got Mocho going past there? Is that a lap, in fact, for Mocho or not? I'm not sure.
No, it's legit.
Oh, it is a lap, because it says 47 for Mocho and 46 for Griffiths. Yeah, I think Griffiths' race has just been a disaster ever since he started going backwards. But Griffiths has made it back, so he will be able to get that
Here goes Byrne.
We'll get that problem repaired, but it won't... it's not going to do anything about his race, that is for sure. But anyway, back to the battle between Vaderi and Byrne, as Rob just pointed out there. As Vaderi, so far, Rob, doing a good job keeping the Red Bull back.
Yeah, he's getting a big fat paycheck from Mercedes, especially from Argentina, to keep him behind. But Byrne doesn't want to waste any time. He wants to go for the move now into Stowe, and this time he's got him. Into the points goes Byrne, and he might get only 1 point today, but every single point is going to count in this championship race, so it's better to get 1 point here than 0.
Absolutely, every point does matter here, because that point could be crucial come the end of the season, as we've got 3 laps to go in this race. 7.4 is a gap, so Car is gaining onto Quag, but I don't think it's going to be enough for him to gain onto the Renault driver in time to try and make it a Mercedes 1-2 here at Silverstone, as now Car now through Vale and into the double right-hander of Club now then.
I've said it many times, and I'm going to say it once again. If he had the same strategy as Lopez, Armarca would have won this race.
Indeed, as now through into the first couple of corners go. Meanwhile, looks like Vaderi is now into the clutches of David Cupoc, so a points position has gone for Vaderi, and as a result, he's now been overtaken by David Cupoc. And you mentioned that Byrne has now got a point. He might be under threat again here, because of course Cupoc is on fresher tyres here, so Cupoc might actually make it a double points finish for AlphaTauri here. Does he have enough to catch up to Byrne? Clearly, there's no instructions from Red Bull to tell the AlphaTauri driver to slow down. So, would Byrne's point place still be under jeopardy here? Who knows?
I'm not sure, honestly. It's only 3 laps left.
As meanwhile, Roca's now been lapped by Franco Lopez. So to add insult to injury to Red Bull today, both Red Bull drivers have now been lapped. And in fact, to add insult to injury, not only has Byrne got an AlphaTauri chasing him down, Roca's also got an AlphaTauri chasing him down. Gal is also not too far behind either. And, well, Roca clearly not making the one-stop work like Perinen did earlier on, and clearly not working out for him today. And for Red Bull, this is definitely a race to forget for the Austrian Energy Drinks Company, as now AlphaTauri,
absolutely right.
Of course, the team that is pulling out at the end of the season, so Red Bull will become the only Red Bull team next season, are now chasing down the 2 Red Bull drivers as a result. Probably a little bit embarrassing for the Red Bull team, it's fair to say, having that
Armar is saying in the chat that I'm his #1 supporter.
Yeah, indeed, as now we look at Roman Quag now. There's 6 seconds is the gap between him and Carr, so yeah, it's going to be a little bit too late. I think Carr will need to hope for a mechanical problem or a mistake for him to make it a Mercedes 1-2.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, today, as now we look at Griffiths, who is just a lap down from everybody here today. And, well, he's going up on his personal best, but he's 6 tenths off a car in that first sector. You can tell just how bad the Williams has been this season, as they'll be hoping that next season's car is going to be a lot better. They do have an upward trend, do Williams, so that could give them a little bit of encouragement to maybe get themselves in front of Aston Martin, who have got a downward trend for next season. But we'll have to wait and see how far up the upward trend is for Williams We will have to wait and see.
I think Aston will be the worst car comfortably.
We shall see. Meanwhile, Gal is all over the back here of George Rogue as their fight for 8th continues, but Gal cannot find a way through. Cupot not close enough to get burned at the moment. But meanwhile, Franco Lopez, who's in front of these guys, is going to soon be starting his final lap, I think. He has started it now then. So Franco Lopez is on his final lap here at Silverstone. Gal now on the inside of George Rogue into Abbey Corner now. Then as they go side by side, coming around the left-hander, but he can't make it work. And he has to hang behind for the moment. But it looks like he might have to try and get him down the Wellington Straight if he can. But Lopez is on his final lap of the race, and it has been a brilliant race for the Argentinian here today, as he looks like he's going to make it back-to-back wins here today and get his 5th victory of 2022. Meanwhile, Gal on the inside of George Rogue. Is it going to be P8 for the Hungarian into Brooklands? And it is. Gal is up into 8th place. What about the other battle that's going on? Cupok is all over the back here of Evan Byrne. Is he going to kick him out of the points here? Cupok on the inside of Evan Byrne into Brooklands' corner. He's trying to have a go down into Brooklands. They're still side by side, but Byrne is just going to hold on for the moment now then. But whereabouts is Franco Lopez on the racetrack now then? I think he's a little bit further forward. There
Humiliation for Red Bull.
Yes, indeed. And
Chatfield's up in the 5th.
He's passed Clausen seen by the cameras, but Lopez, he's had a fantastic race here today. Started on pole position, and he never really looked back, really, and he's looking good to get his 5th victory. As Cupok's off to 10th, Byrne is out of the points. Cupok has got him into Cup's corner, and, well, humiliation for Red Bull as Byrne, who is a contender to Lopez, is going to lose a heavy amount of points to Lopez in the
He's going to lose all 25 of them.
Yes, indeed. No points look like they're going to go the way of Evan Byrne, but a full 25 points is going to go the way to his rival, Franco Lopez, who's going to be over a victory ahead of Byrne in the championship and over a victory in the fastest lap ahead of Byrne as well. But coming around the final corner, and for the 5th time this season, it is going to be Franco Lopez who wins the British Grand Prix here at Silverstone. It's back-to-back wins for the Mercedes driver, and
it's disaster for Red Bull.
It is a disaster indeed, and he's over a victory now, ahead of Byrne in the championship.
Yes, indeed. Cupok finishes 10th, and there will be a lot of angry words between the two Red Bull teams there. Quag takes a brilliant 2nd place from 17th on the grid. Fantastic.
Yes, indeed. Driver of the day, it's fair to say. I think
yeah, absolutely.
Right there, in 3rd position. Whether that's reflected in the sign-up support group, we'll have to wait and see. Car gets 3rd, just misses out on the chance of a 1-2 finish here today. Kirishima DeRosa now, they will cross the line in 13th again, no points for McLaren. The disastrous season continues in 2022. Perinen gets 4th. Had he not made that mistake, I think it would have been a double podium for Renault today, but of course we will never know as a result, as Joseph Willows will cross the line in 14th position. As, again, mechanical problems striking the 2-time world champion at his home race. Sontag will cross the line in 15th for Williams. Not a bad result for him, considering he started down in 20th, so I think he'll be satisfied with that. Williams, though, still yet to score a point in 2022. Mocho will cross the line in 16th place. Chatfield will cross the line in 5th position, as Kloss will cross the line in 6th. For Haas, meanwhile, so some good points there for those two. As Patel finally gets some good luck this week, as he's going to finish in 7th place. So finally, some much needed result for Rahul Patel today, as Griffiths a lap down in 17th place and a disastrous race after qualifying up in 9th. But Lopez is your winner and a fully deserved victory for the 2-time world champion. So here are your final race results. Franco Lopez wins the race from Roman Quag in 2nd place. A good result for him from 17th on the grid. With Amar Kar in 3rd. Jesus Perinin, what might have been if it wasn't for that mistake, in 4th. With Chris Chatfield in 5th. Barges Kloss in 6th. Rahul Patel finally with some good luck in 7th. With Mikael Oskal in 8th. George Roque in 9th. With David Cupok completing the points in 10th position. Followed by Evan Byrne, who gets no points after the embarrassment that AlphaTauri threw at Red Bull right at the end. And you can do the rest, Rob.
Okay, sure. Andrea Federi, 12th place. Kirishima DeRosa, 13th. Joseph Willows, 14th. Felix Zontag, 15th. Sorry. Michael Mocha, 16th. Disappointing race for him. Jamie Griffith, 17th. And the retirements are, here we go, Chang, Waldinger, Wilson, Martins, Galloway.
Yep, indeed. And the fastest lap of the race goes to Amar Kar. So along with the 15 points that he'll get for 3rd place, he'll also get the bonus point for the fastest lap of the race. 3 tenths quicker than his teammate Franco Lopez in the end.
He had the pace, but not the strategy.
Yep, indeed. Well, to celebrate Franco Lopez and Mercedes' achievements, we will now hear the national anthems of Argentina and of Germany. Alrighty then. Well, that has been it then from the British Grand Prix. A very, very entertaining race throughout. Obviously, not at the front of the field. I think it was pretty much as Lopez's for to lose, really. But everywhere else, it was just a very, very exciting race.
Yeah, it was amazing. So many things happening, so many great moves, and some pretty heavy crashes as well.
Indeed, and well, who knows what the next race has in offer. Well, there you have it then, guys. That has been it from the British Grand Prix here at Silverstone. A very good race indeed, and definitely one that could have repercussions for the championship later on in the season. But that has been it then. I hope you have enjoyed it. The next top class race will, of course, be on next week, which will be the Hungarian Grand Prix at the Hungaroring in Budapest. It will be Miklos Gál Bentveld Dinger's home race, so I'll be hoping to put on a show there. And, of course, the GP4 OC News will make a welcome return next week as well for the pilot episode.
Finally.
Because, of course, as well, this Saturday, of course, don't forget, the 2023 top class sign-ups officially closed. So if you haven't signed up yet, or are still yet to edit your choices, then you need to be quick, because you only have until Saturday at 10 PM BST to sort that out. Also, at the same time as well, I can confirm to you that the Formula 2 sign-ups will officially open at the same time as well when the top class sign-ups close. So do look forward to that as well. Of course, no DTM this week. That is taking a week break. That will be back next weekend instead at Aragon. So do look forward to that. Of course, Formula 2 will also be on next week, but not at Budapest. They'll be racing over at the Nürburgring for their European Grand Prix, so the second voted track of the season for them. And of course, we also have World Champco on next week as well, taking place, ironically, also at Silverstone, where we've just been today. So hopefully they can put on a show around there like we had today.
Should be fun.
Should be fun indeed. But until then, guys, that has been it. I hope you have enjoyed it. So thank you for watching. I've been JW97. He's been Rob. Don't forget to sign up if you haven't for 2023. And we shall see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.